Hey everybody, welcome to the PAX South 2015 multicast. I am Megacast. Thanks, Meef. I am one of your hosts this evening. I am Larry A.K. Blueberry Rule of Open Form Radio. Also joining me from the Open Form Radio family from the Geeks for the Win podcast.
I'm William.
Also from the Open Form Radio family, we have my longtime friend, all around humble guy. Just a straight up friend of mine. None other than he's from my peanut gallery.
Yeah, this is Fadios. I'm out here struggling. It's been a rough week, rough day. I got upgraded to a nice, huge suite, free room, free food. It's a hard knock life.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
The man footing Fadios' bill is is Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, man. And then also, part of OFR, but really, we all know and love him from we all know and love him from the Everyday Gamers podcast. So,
yeah, this is Eric, also known as AZ Rockslide.
Chris, also known as Holy Headshot.
And this is Meef J, also known as J Sims.
Nice to meet you.
Sweet Beef is in the house, y'all.
That'll work.
And that's what I've been waiting to say for a long time. Also from in hosting us in the Open Form Radio family, you know him. Everybody loves him. He's the man from the Merry Gamers.
Hey, this is Chris, aka Lefty Brown from the Merry Gamers.
You know him and you love him from Geeks with Color. Now you just read everything in the world that he writes. What's going on, Sam?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
And from Press A to Listen, probably the wildest man on the internet next to Fadios.
Oh man, that's quite an introduction. Pantless Steve from the Press A to Listen podcast.
I mean, your name is Pantless
Well, I mean, yeah, well.
Okay.
I'm sorry to disappoint everyone in this room.
No, that's
well.
He is wearing
I'm
pants.
sorry to disappoint. We could make it happen and be like,
I heard he'd disappoint us if he was painless.
Disappointment all the way around. But not disappointing all the way around is none other than
Yeah, I was gonna say we have.
Rare Bishop himself.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on, man? Who you with?
Press A to listen.
Press A to Listen, that's what I'm talking about. Now, also in the room, we have a couple of other, we have one other character here.
stragglers.
Stragglers. We do have a couple other stragglers.
Destiny addicts. Let's call them
Let's just call him what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean-
Right, Steve? One back here actually recording video and taking pictures as well is, go ahead and tell them who you are.
I'm Colby. I'm the story editor at the Merry Gamers.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. You see how professional that sounded like it was written out, but it was not. I can promise you.
I was ready to go.
Can we do ours again?
And finally, over here, the man that we really are all having this mass intervention for is none other than Josiah. Go ahead.
What's up, guys? Formerly Free Ham Jobs, and I play way too much Destiny.
How many hours?
746.
Man.
And in his spare time,
He
he
writes
writes
for
for
the
the Daily Crate.
I write
Oh.
for the Daily Crate.
Good Lord. Josh Brown, don't punish him. Too bad. All right, everybody. So we're here at PAX South 2015. This is kind of amazing. I guess to kick it off, I guess, what did you guys? How was today outside of the most horrible weather in the world? Jay, you want to share your trip?
Not really. might get to cussing, but
It's a flat tire.
yeah, literally a flat tire on the plane, so they changed it out.
Oh my goodness.
And so then I couldn't make my connecting flight, so they put me on another one that was flat full. So I finally got here, and then the cab driver gave me the runaround, literally. And but I finally made it, so I'm good.
So as a Christian,
Could your cab driver at least find the hotel
Oh my
and the
gosh.
street on the GPS?
Yeah, he knew where it was. He just took the scenic route.
Okay, because I had to be the GPS for our cab driver.
The cab driver was just proud of his city, you know. He's
That's right. He's like, oh, here's the convention center, even though you're back that way a mile.
Ours pulled over, made Eric look it up on his GPS, and left the meter running the whole time. So that was awesome.
Apparently that's a thing they do here. But we love you, San Antonio.
But we love Uber. Uber's hecka cheap here.
$4.
is it really?
$4.
Man, we missed out. We should have gone Uber.
For a restaurant like a mile and a half, $4.
They were, when we pulled up, there were 3 Ubers at the airport.
Really?
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so financial advice for 2015: invest in Uber. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. So you made it here.
Windows 10, man.
Yeah, and Windows 10 clearly. So I don't know how we're gonna start this off because PAX South has really just gotten going, and man, I'm looking forward to bringing a whole lot of stuff. So I don't really know what we starting off with. We're gonna talk Windows 10.
Maybe what we're looking forward to.
How about what we're looking forward to? That's a very good recommendation. Since you kicked it off, Eric, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you're looking forward to?
Well, and speaking of jumping on hand grenades, I'm not sure, I could be wrong on this, but I'm guessing that in this room I have probably backed more games on Kickstarter than just about anybody else. And I'm excited because at least 3 of the games I backed are here. Hive Jump is one of the ones I backed. They're going to be here. Looking forward to seeing some of their stuff. Last I'd heard, Mech Runner was supposed to be here as well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And then Obsidian is actually doing a panel where they're showing off Pillars of Eternity. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what that looks like.
That's pretty cool. Should be fantastic. How about you, Chris?
You know what? Exactly what we got going on in this room here. I didn't really take a look at everything that was going to be on the show floor. There wasn't a lot that I was interested in. I knew Gearbox was going to be here. Firaxis has a panel. If you're not familiar with them, they did the last XCOM game. So I am interested in checking that out, but more so just meeting up with the community, everybody that's already here and everybody that we haven't gotten a chance to catch up with and meet with during the next couple days. So.
Okay. Knox is on his way, right?
Knox is on his way. He just got a Bible study, so he should be here about 3 hours from 8 o'clock. We'll put him here about 11 maybe. So yeah, Knox is on his way. Sure is.
Another hour.
So yeah, then we can really talk Microsoft. Hey Chris, and I apologize in advance, man. There's no hockey on the floor. I'm sorry. So sorry.
It's okay. He's DVRing the All-Star game, so he's not going to miss anything.
And the skills competition.
Oh,
You're never going to miss your ice soccer.
It's Sunday. Nice try though.
I'll tell you.
All right, Chris, why don't you tell people something?
What are we looking forward to? We're an Xbox-centric podcast. I think we want to get hands-on with State of Decay.
Yep.
I think we want to see what has changed and where we're moving forward with that. Oh gosh, what else do we have? What do we?
Don't read them in email.
Adventures of Pip, I think.
Oh yeah, I got it.
It's looking pretty cool. I think we're really looking
Rusty
forward to it.
Bucket, you said looks fantastic.
I was going to say, you're not going to talk about that MOBA we're going to go play?
I mean, we're going to go see a MOBA apparently, so who knows? But yeah, I mean, I think State of Decay, I think looking at whatever the Microsoft booth itself has, I'm sure there's going to be some ID at Xbox stuff.
It's mostly going to be ID Xbox.
I hope, yeah, hopefully it's not, already released stuff like East had, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think State of Decay is the big one that we're really looking forward to getting out there and just getting hands-on and seeing what's changed and how it all kind of moves in place now. So.
Okay.
Bishop, y'all got any other things y'all are going to?
I'm going to go see, I think it's Rebel Galaxy. I think it's the name of the game. They announced it's coming to Xbox One.
Yeah, I got that.
So I'm curious to see what that's like. Smitty wanted to know about it since he's not here. So I'll be the field reporter for him.
Hey, it looks good. The trailer looks really interesting. Yeah. Looks really interesting. Yeah.
We'll see how it plays, though.
Yeah.
That's the biggest. I mean, it looks great, but
yeah.
You never know until you get your hands on it.
Right. It's kind of like Destiny. Josiah, what about you?
Honestly, I haven't looked at too much either. The Gearbox Community Day, though, I've been playing Borderlands since the first one, putting probably more hours than Destiny into it, so I'm excited to go to that and see what they have to show with that.
Yeah, Chris was looking forward to that one too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rub some daggers. I'm leaving Sunday morning, so I'm gonna miss the.
Well, I'm leaving Sunday morning as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm leaving Sunday morning.
So we could cry together.
We'll show you guys what free games we get when we go.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Steve. Hey, Steve, I got you.
It's the national beer of Texas.
Yeah. Clearly. Well, I was just getting ready to bounce to you. Unless you want to take a swig real quick.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
So what am I excited to see? I'm going to be a little long-winded here. So,
What?
From another Chris in the room? No. Quit playing.
Shots fired.
So I've been to PAX Prime, and all the heavy hitter AAA developers are always there. PAX East, usually there's a couple, a few AAA, but then they have Indiecade. Here they don't even have Indiecade. and I'm really interested to see what the tabletop area goes and runs off with, because this may be the PAX. If you're a tabletop person, this might be a PAX alternative to Dragon Con, and so I'm really interested to see what sort of spaces they make up there. But video games wise, this is gonna be the one where I discover something that totally unexpected that I'm gonna go to love. Yep. Like last year at PAX East, it was Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time and Elegy for a Dead World. Both of those games blew me away. Elegy more in concept at that time in that build. So that's what I'm looking forward to in this PAX South. Then of course, 30 years ago I lived in this area, so it's like, oh, this is awesome.
Nice,
I'm in
nice.
Texas, and I'm getting to experience this through adult eyes.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, we have a few more people. I guess I will go with you.
For some reason,
I got Colby.
Yeah, Colby. Sorry,
Yes.
I got booked a lot of space simulators. I got a lot, so I'm doing.
Seems to be a theme.
Yeah, it's a theme. So I got Elite Dangerous, which is like an Oculus Rift game. It's coming out. I got hands-on. Homeworld Remastered.
Oh, I want to know about that.
Yeah, so I get to play that with Gearbox, which I'm really excited for. Never got to play the first Homeworld, but older PC vets tell me day in, day out, gotta play this game. Also, Rebel Galaxy, I got that. That's gonna be really good for Xbox One. That'd be nice. And then like what Chris said, like PAX Prime, that was my first PAX, and just walked around and watched indie games and just looked at people and be like, what do you got? Show me. And it was just completely blown away every time. So a little bit, I got a couple appointments, and then most of it just be like, show me what you got, PAX. So.
Sure. Jason.
Well, I mean, pretty much what everyone said, but I mean, I guess I had set a bunch of appointments on Friday, just whoever wanted it, I just said, I'll check out any game. But Saturday, just like what Lefty was saying, I'm going to be hitting up the tabletop games. I'm looking for new board games. I'm looking for new, just different strategy games. I'm a huge strategy game guy, so I'm looking for something that I can bring home and check out something different. But always gonna keep my eye out for that next hit game that's gonna explode. So maybe some small developer here, like the guys we just ran to in the elevator. Yeah. Who knows? They might have the next Mass Effect.
Space Academy.
Do it.
Minecraft.
Space Academy.
Yeah, Minecraft. You never know.
Yep,
So that's the big thing, is to just go out there and just see what type of creativity is out there, especially with these real small companies. That's where you're gonna find the real innovation, the real game changers. Are these guys that have just enough money to scrap together a couple things and give you a demo, and then we'll see what goes from there.
Sure. It's interesting. This is Eric again from Everyday Gamers. A couple of you now, Jason, you and Chris have brought up the tabletop. And we actually added a tabletop section to Everyday Gamers a little while back. Now, we've had all of one article in it. But seeing that it looks like they're doing a little bit more emphasis on tabletop here, it might be kind of fun just to get in there and film some of this and say, hey, here's a few things to be if this is your fair, these are a few things you might want to be looking for.
Do you think it's a problem just because the tabletop people already have their established sites, but they might play games, but they do their things, but they never really think about crossing that over?
To be honest, the reason we started it is one of our guys is actually, even though he's a big fan of video games, plays them all the time, he's actually a bigger fan of tabletop.
Oh,
Yeah. This is for those who follow the site. I'm talking about John. He's also goes by Tiger's Eye 85 on Twitter, and so we had kind of started it with him in mind. The funny thing is, he didn't write the first article. One of our other guys actually did. But it's been something I think that a few of us are interested in, and there is a bit of a crossover. But yes, you're right. There are definite, specific sites that people who are major tabletop gamers go to. We're kind of hoping maybe we can provide a little bit of coverage for people who might be consider themselves video gamers first, but are still interested in some of the tabletop.
Right. Looking to make that jump, which is sometimes a hard jump to make.
Right. Or sometimes, they might be a video style gamer, but they might be in a relationship with somebody who isn't, but really likes tabletop. So it's like, okay, so what, if I'm going to be spending some time with my wife, or I'm going to spend some time with my brother, or whatever, what games can I get, or is he interested in that I should be taking a look at?
I mean, I love games, but let's be honest. If I'm going to spend time with my wife, I don't prefer to be in the company of a game. So,
The Bachelor.
Hey. There's some games you can play with your wife that are pretty fun. But
there we go.
I was thinking it, I didn't say it.
Hide the what?
Yeah, exactly.
I just wished it.
Fine.
Right.
yeah, you're doing it wrong.
Sometimes called risk.
Yeah. Sure. Double trouble. All right. So, what about you, Jeremy?
You know, I'm just looking forward to following Fadios around and.
Oh, hell, you have a bad plan for the entire.
He always finds a way to make me laugh. So.
Yeah, definitely.
I was gonna say, you know, me, the Reader Fadios make excellent wind blockers.
Hey, I was thinking maybe we could bring him on You Lose, talk about eating healthy, but we'll see.
All right.
If you're in danger, wink 3 times.
Yeah. What about you, Will?
I'm just looking forward to hitting up those interviews and then what everyone else has said, like going around the showroom floor and just finding something that I never would have expected.
Right. And you know, I'm kind of like, I can't remember who said it initially, man, but this is kind of just this, you know, getting ready to sit down, meet everybody who I've talked to. Really, I've heard Steve put down countless games on podcasts that I completely disagree with. And like he's like Dragon Age is stupid. I don't even want. I don't even want to hear it. Don't even bring that to me.
Hey man, bad combat's bad combat.
How much time have you spent in the multiplayer on that?
Too much.
But no, just really sitting, because I've communicated with some people via email, some people I don't even know and hadn't known until today. But this is what I was looking forward to. But also, you know, as you know, I passed my card around to some folks here who I didn't think had it, but like our network has experienced a ton of growth this year, and I actually want to do something with it. So for me, this is my opportunity to put a legitimate foothold and actually make some upward mobility. So
you mentioned on Premier Point,
yes.
This is me, that OFR is presenting something or
yeah. So
what is that?
So the National Association of Video Game Trade Reviewers, Navigator, they are hosting. They have like this booth kind of at the beginning. They're doing these awards, and each podcast can pretty much get up there and present a category like you're a celebrity, as if you're a celebrity. So you get pub and it's on this big stage that's there at PAX. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing it starting tomorrow at 10. That's like the first thing I'm doing in the morning. Media, I think, is supposed to get over there at 9, but I'm doing that at 10, and then the events and things start like real things get kicked off right after, like soon right after that. But that's what we're doing. So we're presenting a category or a nominee in a particular category, and that's just something that's just going to put us out there at the very beginning to start. And so I'm gonna be fresh dressed. I'm gonna have on, you know. So I'm gonna try to bring my best foot, put my best foot forward, and. But no, it's really a lot of this, but there are some things I'm really interested in looking at. One of the things I'm interested in is Guild Wars 2. There have been rumors that it's supposed to come to console, and I kind of want to see that happen because I'm really intrigued by the combat in that game. However, I don't play on keyboard. I'm sorry. Gaming should be fun. And if gaming is not fun, I don't want to do it. Man.
You need to look up this device that Razer has put out called the Tartarus that makes a thumbstick that you can assign WASD to and makes the jump from going to a controller in your hand to keyboard and mouse a whole lot easier.
I know that's an intermediary step, but I mean, I look at playing this console as sprinting, and I look at playing on PC and on keyboard and mouse as walking, and I want to sprint when I play games. I don't want to walk. You know, you're proposing a jog, but I don't want to do that either. I want to sprint. You know
I don't know. I will have
walk before you sprint.
I will have to admit that having the better aim going through Mass Effect was really nice.
Yeah, but if you're going through Mass Effect shooting only, you playing it wrong.
Well, the first Mass Effect not as much.
Yeah.
I'm curious, did you play Guild Wars 2 on PC?
I didn't play it.
If you're mentioning like in terms of like combat and movement, like in terms of any MMO, that one would just be so perfect for a controller and like for console play. It's so fluid and so it's really nice.
And all the gameplay that I've seen and I've watched, I'm like, man, that would be so crunchy if you just could throw that on a controller. It'd be so great. Crunchy, yes, it's combat that you feel. Like in Dragon Age, what you hate, but what you know when you hit somebody.
Like when you go to aim at that vase and you swing at it about 17 times and you can't break it.
Yes. But every time you swing,
it's real crunchy.
And every time you swing, you feel like you're hitting something.
Steve, the opposite.
Not what I want to hit, but I'm hitting something. So, all right, that's fair. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
So, Steve, the opposite of Hyrule Warriors.
Exactly. That's spongy. We're talking crunchy. You know what I mean? Devil May Cry is crunchy. You know what I mean? Bayonetta's crunchy. But yeah. So for me, that's what I kind of want to see. And then and really, I want to get a chance to get by the NVIDIA booth, because after what Microsoft showed at the Windows 10 event and how you can be able to stream things to different Windows 10 devices, I want to see how Shield is going to compete with that. So I'm just going to go by there and pose a few questions and see what's happening.
I have my Shield with me, by the way.
This is Lefty. I don't know if it's been said, but I have a big feeling that this Xbox streaming thing, that it's another reason why Xbox wanted to go digital only, because you'll be able to stream. You'll be able to stream those digital games, no problem. But if it's a game you have on disc, I think you're gonna have the disc in your Xbox, so that's sort of limiting to you.
Hang on a second, we need to make sure we're still recording.
We're still recording video.
We are? Okay.
Don't worry about it.
I got the video, so we can just rip the audio.
Yeah, audio will be ripped. Don't worry about it.
Alright, cool.
Yeah. Y'all keep going.
I think one of the cool things that I'm looking forward to, that y'all haven't mentioned, is the different booths that are centered around the charities that a lot of us participate in. We do the Operation Supply Drops, we do the Extra Lights. I think Child's Play is going to be there, and there was one other one too.
Able Gamers, wasn't it?
Yes. Able Gamers, yeah. Thank you. And so getting to meet some of the people that we've either interacted with on Twitter or have had on our shows in the past. Everyday Gamers had Steve from Op Supply Drop and Doc and Mike from Extra Life this past year, and so getting to kind of see them face to face and sign up for the next year's challenge and that sort of thing will be really cool.
Well, you with newborns in your house, with that, by the grace of God, they are back in your house. I thought the thing you must be most looking forward to at PAX is some sleep.
Well, he's got to share a room with Chris and I, so
I still need my 4 a.m. feedings.
I hope it's not Chris. Never mind.
I can't help him there.
Room 256 comes up.
All right. So that's what everybody's
No.
Well, I just want to know, if you're the person who started the podcast, of your podcast, I'd like to know why you guys started your podcast. With Married Gamers, I've told this story many times. We started because we were headed toward divorce, and this was a common thing that we had between us that eventually made us fall back in love with each other, and that's why we did the Married Gamers. It was the last ditch. We're headed toward divorce, and we don't know what direction we wanted to take, but we're going to take the step, and thankfully it worked out. But I want to know, why did you guys do the podcast? Why did you come up with it? What's your reason and passion for doing the various podcasts that can be found on openforumradio.com?
lot of
them, most of them.
Who wants to go first?
Well, EDG went first last time, so let's make them go last. Will! What's up, man?
Well, we pretty much started our podcast. It was actually spawned
Geeks
from...
for the Win.
Yeah,
right?
Geeks for the Win. From Talking About Gamers game night, where we were just playing Team Fortress 2, and then we were just chatting about old, cartoons from the 90s, and we just went on topic to topic to topic, and then, I was just like, oh, this should be a podcast where we talk about all things geeky. So...
That was it. And just in case everyone doesn't know, Will was the first podcast outside of any of the Open Forum Radio podcast host shows. So the 40 Cast, which was Vic, but he was also a host. Proving Point, which was I'm also a host of on OFR. So we kind of didn't count, but Will's was the official first one outside that came in. So he's been in OFR the longest, really.
Nice.
So, yeah. All right, next up. Fadios.
I know it's hard to sit across the room from your hero.
It is. I'm trying to gather myself as we speak.
I got two answers. Of course, I'm gonna talk a while because that's what podcasters do, right? So first, I was there for the initial first podcast talking about gamers with Blue, of course.
Yes, sir.
There was 8 and then actually 9 of us by the time we actually got started, and that was the whole reason I even signed up to try to do that whole thing was I wanted to get involved with community again. I was doing Warcraft in the past, got a little carried away with that. Some people might know what that's like. I had to leave that, but the one thing,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, the one thing I always missed was the community aspect. We had this group of gamers, and we came together every night for way too long, for way too many nights. But that's one thing I always missed. So when I got involved with talking about games and talking about gamers came up, I'm like, that's what I want to do. I love that community aspect, having those guys we can get together and play games. After a while, that show has developed into a lot of different things. It's grown, and I wanted to expand my voice outside of games. And that show is primarily about just video games, and that's what that show is. And I ended up stepping away, kind of reevaluating, and I came back with my peanut gallery, which it's basically like a peanut gallery of the guys that heckle and all that, where I can come and say whatever I want to talk about. One week we might talk about Star Wars trailer, 88 seconds for over an hour, which we did, which was great, and we weren't done talking. And the next week we might end up talking about Mike Brown and race relations for 3.5 hours with Scarfinger. So, which of course I was put into 2 shows because that was just ridiculous long. But we had all kinds of topics. And the other aspect of that too, just to go back on it, talking about gamers, my favorite part of talking about gamers was the 2 hours we talked before we recorded.
Yeah.
Where we're just BSing.
Right.
And we're just communing with, just fellowshipping and joking around and taking pot shots at each other in love and just having fun. And that's kind of one of the aspects I want to bring onto my show. And that's why I have these green room episodes where it's just me and somebody just talking. It's like a pre-podcast conversation.
Right.
And that's what this is my favorite episodes I've done, I think.
Yeah.
So
Definitely the best, though. Definitely the most entertaining.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. All right. Next up on the list, as we move around, you know who we didn't bounce to last time? Sam.
What's up?
What's going on, man?
Chilling.
Did we get you last time?
No, but it's alright though.
No, it's all right though.
I mean, I haven't really played games in a while because I don't have a current console.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no idea what's going on sometimes. Just like when I
Welcome to
write,
the club.
when I write, it's like stuff that I find in like, some kind of editorial or something,
Right.
some kind of thing going on that I just have to write about.
Yeah.
It's not really like about like, oh, this game is hot, you should check it out. You know?
Right,
Which is
right.
cool, but that's just not what I do right now. Like,
Okay. Fair enough.
but as far as like what I'm looking forward to is just like putting Twitter names to faces. Like this is AZ Rockslide right here. I've been following him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize. No.
Are you gonna unblock videos?
And there's videos, and then
He's
there's
been following me a while. I got a lot of dirty DMs
Yeah.
from him. And he's a talented writer, so they're pretty kinky,
Right.
but they're fun to read.
It's
Yeah.
amazing what you do with 140 characters.
Yeah, it is.
like there's videos, and there's William right here, Blue right here, my man right here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And Jay Meaf right there. These are all people that I've seen tweeting for years. Like, and this is my first gaming event, so getting to meet everyone is really awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Josiah does not have a podcast, so he's gonna shout out Destiny and Serve for Life.
So
And
somebody
then-
please
Serve for
adopt
Life.
All here's
Cue the Sarah McLachlan music.
Or Barley 79 cents.
It's even got the stance, the like.
Now, what was the question?
I'm sorry, you said Zer. What?
Hey, I was thinking about
It's not Friday.
What's he have right now?
He's like, I gotta call my wife.
I really hope she knows how to get into my game.
Well, we made Zer before she left. I left, and she knew.
So since you don't do a podcast, but you do write.
I do write.
So why?
Yet, by the way, for his.
A lot of people have been trying to get me to, so I guess I'm gonna have to at some point. But well, quite frankly, 140 characters wasn't enough. So
Okay.
I just started writing more, and then, really just interacting with the community, and that just kept growing from there.
It's good. It's good. So are you like Josh Brown-Lenois and actually went to school to write English and all of that?
No, I mean, unless you kind of liberal arts degree as going to school.
That's just everything. That's just
No.
General studies. General studies.
Meep says no. Doesn't count.
So wrong. All right. Okay, Steve.
Oh man, I like to talk a lot, and I needed a place to do that, so I invited myself on to the, at the time, Xbox 360 solo cast, which was just a sinking ship at that point. So, yeah.
You rescued.
I mean, somebody had to throw him a life preserver, so that's what we did.
And you needed Bishop's help with that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Somebody needs to know it with him. I always say Bishop's the one that knows what he's talking about on our show, and me and Smitty are the ones that just talk. So, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's fun to just kind of get stuff off your chest every week, and especially when you do it with really good friends, and you're able to have those.
Wait, does this mean you're actually admitting that Josh is a friend?
I said Bishop.
He did specify.
Yeah. But I mean, it's one of those things where you can have those arguments, and you know that in the end, everybody still kind of loves each other when it's all said and done. Even if Dragon Age is a bad game, I mean, that's okay. The
door's right there.
I'll give it a fair shake eventually. But it didn't make a great first impression. But it's one of those things. It's nice to just be able to get stuff off your chest and have those conversations and just talk stuff out sometimes. And I think Fabio said it best. It's the stuff before and after the recording is always the best.
Always.
But sometimes that stuff's not fit for air.
Just so anyone knows, when you talk with me, if I call you on Skype, it's always on there. It will be a pre-show or a post-show outtake.
School of Eric.
Yeah. I don't do that as much anymore, but that used to be the rule.
Mike, pause. We still got it over there though.
You dropped the mic.
I did. I literally did. Hold on.
Back. Testing.
Oh, you did.
Lone Star.
That was good.
Anybody else Lone Star?
These are great.
Yeah, it is drinkable.
It is drinkable. I think they're great.
That's a high bar.
They should put that on the box.
Drinkable.
I'm not automatically disgusted when I make
That's one step above. It's not a solid.
It doesn't make me gag.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm naming this so I can save this.
So you can close it and reopen it.
So I close it and reopen it, exactly.
I'm trying not to.
At least you're stopping the recording and not trying to record after your mic had come unplugged and plugged back in, and then having to do a massive amount of editing to the podcast.
About that.
I think we should close.
I think if they had heard what it was like beforehand, they wouldn't have been
Deep in the heart
complaining.
of Texas.
I'm from
Deep
Oklahoma.
in the heart of Texas.
You know how tough that's going to be for me to sing that
Yes,
song?
sir.
You should start us off, Larry.
I wasn't listening. Yep, I sure
You don't want
did.
me to start that song.
All right.
You from California? Raiders fan?
California? No. I'm from,
He used to be from San Diego area.
No, yeah, from Southern California.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
See Raiders.
I met him.
Very rare.
Only people from California.
Yeah, I'm from California. I see a Raiders. So I'm like, all right, what's up, man?
My father-in-law's from Brooklyn, and he loves the Raiders, so I don't really understand it. But
It's sort of like people who follow Kiss.
Yeah, it's just this weird social dichotomy.
Why do you like Kiss?
Are you trying to say they're both washed up, Chris?
They're really into makeup.
So didn't the Niners lose to the Raiders this year?
Yes, they did.
Okay, I just want to rub that in.
Pyrotechnics that fizzle out pretty quick.
From Fresno.
Yes, my dad cried. My dad cried, and we're from Fresno, and he's been a Raiders fan since the '70s, and he called me 4 times.
Was it a single tear?
It was just he's like, we did it. We beat those expletives for about 30 seconds. So yeah.
Oh, Niners hate I can get along with.
Yeah,
yes.
Yes, the door is right there.
Let's go. Let's
Go
go,
boys.
Chris. We're not
So
looking
go
here
boys.
anymore.
You really don't like Dragon Age?
I haven't been impressed in the time
Do you
I've
like a
spent
lot of
with
RPG
it.
stuff?
Yes.
What class did you play?
Well, all of and so the one I'm probably sticking with is Sword and Shield, but I had a mage and I had a
Archer dude.
Ranger?
rogue.
I've put 60 hours in. I'm a mage knight enchanter, and it's part of it is kind of like I gotta fight again. It's
it's the combat.
Yeah.
It's like
like I really don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And so you just hold right trigger and just let it go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You guys are crazy.
I love Dragon Age. I've put in 95 hours into the first one.
No, but
It's the combat.
I'm playing a mage, and my favorite part of the game is the combat. And that's why you
Really?
guys complain about.
But don't you think it's lazy writing when you begin every review by saying, well, it's no Destiny?
Yeah. I've written 7 articles on Destiny in the past like 3 months.
Actually,
so
that influences me to play games. When it's not Destiny, I go, oh, thank God.
I mean, it is though, Destiny. So.
Yeah, Will got it going. I'm sorry, this thing just stopped.
That's all right.
Out. I'm exporting that portion though as an MP3 currently, so I know I have that part. And like I said, we'll pull the rest and combine it. So
we just run
Cool.
out of that.
Huh?
Yeah.
We're going half and half.
So yeah.
I just cleared that up for you, me.
So me,
I
why did you?
Well, he wasn't the one who started it. Of course, I wasn't either, but.
Sounds like Meef has a...
So here, I can show it already. Yeah, I can show you
Oh,
where
we
it's
didn't
at.
get Bishop.
Sounds like Meef has a flat tire.
No, we didn't.
No,
We didn't
Bishop didn't go.
We didn't
Yeah.
get Bishop. Steve, you do like to talk, and we jump right over there.
See, I know.
I mean, just like Dragon Age, you didn't make a good first impression either. So go ahead, Bishop.
I think Steve pretty much nailed it. I'm not the type of person who, like, I don't really enjoy talking all that much.
Podcasting's for you.
Yeah, I know.
PAX East panel?
Except for when Steve and Smitty are wrong, which is about 100% of the time.
Yeah. So we talked a lot on
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Okay.
So I guess that puts it to everyday gamers.
Yes. And then we'll go back. Even though Chris has kind of already explained how he started, Lefty has already explained a little bit.
He
So
can talk about his other podcast that he's got a really good co-host on.
right. Yeah. So we can go to that. Yeah.
Okay, am I supposed to talk about all the podcasts that I'm a part of? It's kind of funny because I didn't really start Everyday Gamers. It had been around for a little while before I got involved, but I came on in episode 3, which even Patrick Adams, who had started it, would call kind of the reboot of Everyday Gamers. And then that's when we were starting to try to make a more regular podcast out of it. And at the time, he had actually posted in the Hardcore Christian Gamer forum saying he was looking for writers. So I came on as a writer first. And we started getting the podcast built out of that. And then Chris had been angling to try to be a part of it. And we had mentioned in a podcast that we were talking about getting rid of our PC games section. None of us played PC games, and Chris, I think, just about
Claws came out. It's like, all right, that's it. You're bringing me on. And if it doesn't work, nothing lost, nothing gained.
Yeah,
But
Chris is like, hey, look,
at least give me a shot.
with it. Well, then he doesn't hear an answer, so he thought that Patrick, just blew him off.
Oh, yeah.
Little does he know that Patrick was living with his uncle at the time, and his uncle had a house fire. And, most of his house burnt down. So Patrick's, out of commission. So Chris's contact, everybody was fine. They got everything worked out in the end. But so Chris is contacting me, and he's like, hey, I reached out to Patrick, and I hadn't heard anything. Have you heard anything? Like, we did know that his house burned down, right? No.
We laughed and we laughed and we laughed.
So we decided to bring
That's it. I'm taking my ball and going home.
we decided to bring Chris on to give him a shot. I'm running the podcast at this point because Patrick is out because of the house fire. And I'm like, hey, I got this great idea for a podcast topic. We're going to talk about games as social commentary. Who's in? Crickets. So like probably the next day, Chris is going,
hey, let's bring on the new
sure, I'll jump on that. So he jumps on the hand grenade as the brand new guy, and that was an interesting podcast because my AC was broken. I'm recording in the back room with the window AC running. Chris is at work and gets called out while he's there because, and so it was kind of the beginning of things from there. But really, Everyday Gamers, I don't know if it would have continued if Chris hadn't been able to come on, because for a while there, he and I were the only two running it, because Patrick was out for a while because of the fire.
So our fans are long suffering.
Well, I'm just wondering, you talk about the PC gamers, and then when the podcast host house burns down, don't you think it's a sign from God just to say quit?
No, actually, apparently not, because we're at like 270 episodes now. And by the way, over probably 75% of us are PC gamers now. At least.
Infected them all.
Yeah. So then, sometime in the early hundreds.
106, 107.
Yeah, somewhere in that range. This guy named Meef decided to invite himself onto the Everyday Gamers podcast.
It works.
And a damn thing wrong with that. All right?
Little did we know that some 160 some odd episodes later, he'd be one of the 3 primary hosts. So. But yeah, the 3 of us have been.
He still doesn't know how to record and edit.
We won't hold that against him.
He can. Hey,
it's just so fun.
Ain't a damn thing wrong with that either. He just continues to call himself the talent too. Despite that,
Yep.
Well,
we can't ruining that first load of laundry when we get married. You have to do it.
We can't. We can't rag on him too much though, because the last couple of years we have had just amazing summers of guests. Now we've done more than just a summer.
This year
summer
probably
of
the best. I mean,
and realistically,
I would say that it is because I was there.
There it is.
The overwhelming majority of those guests have been lined up by Jay. So.
Well, the good thing is the best is yet to come.
Is it though?
If I have time, we'll schedule a few. I might show up to one.
So Josiah, if you're free this summer.
I'll see what I can do.
So Everyday Gamers, you guys grew out of the Hardcore Christian Gamers community.
Yes.
Did everyone else come out and talk about gamers?
I did for sure.
Yeah.
Fadios did for sure. Will did for sure. Sam did for sure.
The old school tag, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure that Josh came out of any community. I think he just decided to start
Actually,
doing
Uncle
it.
Gamer before Tag.
Uncle Gamer. See, Mary Gamers grew out of Achievement Junkies.
Ah.
That was the very first podcast I ever listened to was Achievement Junkie. Nelson and Natalie.
Yep.
Much respect.
Razor glass.
They're not dead.
They just stopped podcasting.
You don't see him pour out
That's in honor of. This is in memory of. This is in honor of. It's a slight tilt, but
There's just like this moment of silence.
because everybody's like, yeah.
I think their lives are pretty good. We're all right.
They're all right. They're all pretty good.
Who cares?
But
this may be too much nasal gazing.
Easy for you to say.
You're 200 something. You're getting closer to 300 episodes.
Yes, we should be hitting 300 this year.
Mary Gamers is at 356.
Which is enough to listen to one every year, right? Oh no.
That's
Gamer Husband.
Gamer Husbands is at 358. How much percent?
134.
134. Geeks for the win.
We're over 200.
204 I listened to today.
Prove your point.
Prove your point is 61, but that's on and off.
Olfar.
234 just recorded.
So we got a large body of work. Most podcasts make it to maybe. Oh yeah, I'm Fadios.
509. We started at 501. I learned that from Major Nelson.
So we've been long. I mean, that's several years of our lives doing podcasting. What keeps us going? Like, and sort of phrase or questions is like encouraging people listening to us. Mm-hmm. I've said this time and time again.
Why would they want to get started?
I love podcasting because it is the closest thing to punk rock in an audio format. do it yourself. You have a voice. Go out and do it.
Right.
What keeps us going when we start getting the hundreds, 200s,
I think
the 300s?
I think that's easy. I think it's just when you get feedback from a community and you realize that you have a group of listeners that listen and want to hear your opinions and interact with you, it's the most motivation you could ever have to just continue to go.
Yeah, we've said over and over again. I mean, as much as we love getting together on a weekly basis and just talking, there's no way we would have gotten as far into this as we would have if we didn't have the community feedback. Yeah. There's just a point, because there are those times where you're just like, man, I don't know, I want to do this. Jay's got sick kids. Chris is running around like crazy trying to get everything set up, and I've been, who knows what's going on in my life. It's not anywhere near as busy as it's been, so I can't even try to paint it that way. But and yet you sit there and you go, but hey, we got an amazing response on our Twitter question for the week, and we can't let down the people who are expecting us to be there.
Yeah. And like Steve was saying, Press A Listen does their Metacritic game, which was probably just like, just some, hey, this would be fun, and then it like just blew up, and all these people are saying do this, do that, and like Bracket Cast, they do the same thing where they'll pick 16 things and mash them up, and the show you were on with them is where I heard about them for the first time. So there's that whole cross-pollination of, you hear about something, you check them out, and you're like, man, this is awesome. And then, you yourself provide feedback to them, and then they feed off of that and make a better product that they can put out there.
I think
that's, I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead.
I was going to say, that's exactly what I was going to say, is that there's almost this parallel evolution where you as podcasters and writers kind of evolve and change how you're doing things, and you refine your tastes and you refine the way that you do things. And that's a perfect example of when your community evolves right alongside with you. And that interaction, is just fantastic when the community is reaching out to you and enjoying what you're doing and what you're changing. And you just kind of feed off of each other. And it's impossible to give that up once you get it to that point. It just makes you want to keep pushing and keep chasing that next thing. And, Eric mentioned before the summer guests. We could quit after 2 years and say, we did 2 great summers, and, what's going to drive us next year? Well, we've got to outdo ourselves. We've set that bar pretty high. So
major nothing.
He's not on the PC.
Actually, he might be now.
Yeah,
so listen. So,
just streaming Xbox One games.
Right, exactly. To the PC. You didn't say how. But, so, for me, PYP was started because I went to business school, and so I think about everything in the gaming industry. I think about it completely different than most people talk about it. So I say things that I feel can add to the conversation. And as long as I continue to feel I can add to the overall conversation, then I'm going to continue to add to the conversation with what I do when I produce my show. If I feel like I'm ever detrimental to the conversation or just repeating what someone else is saying, then I'll cut my mic off and walk away.
And Steve and I talked about that very thing on Gamers Unscripted one time, where we were saying, like, we were hearing these podcasts out there that it's like, they were just reading Kotaku.
Just going through the motions at that point.
And we said, like, I can do better, like you said, Chris. Like I can do better than that.
Yeah. And it's not even, that doesn't even come from a point of pride or self-confidence. It's just, we're generally pretty intelligent people. It's just, well, that ain't right.
Wanting to use that voice that Chris was talking about before. I've got some input. I've got something I want to put in there, and I want to speak up.
Exactly. And I think that, to me, excuse me. My medium is not only to entertain, but I take it, for me, I take podcasting, it's a responsibility for me because I am a voice and I have some sphere of influence. So I take it seriously. I take it as a duty, as a responsibility to inform people, to give them my opinions, but I also do it with a sense of levity and have fun. But at the same time, if I'm slacking in any of those areas, then I'm not doing anybody any good. I'm not doing anyone any good. So for me, that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me driving. To continue to be I guess not. You can't necessarily always be unbiased, but to be as untainted a filter of information as I can be.
Yeah. Married Gamers. I'll be honest with you guys. The Married Gamers is a very hard show to do. The birthing pains of the podcast was hard because we had to deal with we had to try to save our marriage and figure out if it was worth saving in the means of talking about video games for a somewhat instant audience, because we were wired into Achievement Junkies for a little bit there. But we're a topical show. So for 356 episodes, it isn't just like discussing the most recent news. Sometimes it was talking about relationships, sometimes it was talking about technology, sometimes it's talking about what a video game means to us, mostly Rock Band. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really hard. And on top of that, a lot of you guys are lucky because you have such a disparate view on video games from one another that you can have a really lively interchange, and I love that. My wife and I, we have a lot of common core. Yeah. And so when you have a podcast with two hosts that oftentimes agree with certain viewpoints, that's hard to try to find a kernel, for someone to grab onto and really be interested in to listen. So the Mayor Gamers is a hard show to do, but darn it, I love it because I sit across from the best co-host of all. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love it, and the way she thinks about a video game sometimes just like blows my freaking mind because I didn't realize it, and whether it's from a female perspective or a casual going into a more traditional gaming and stuff like that, and that's what makes it fun after 356 episodes. Yeah, heal our marriage, that's great. We can quit today and say mission accomplished. And no, that's not an announcement. And I do a lot of shows. I do Gamer Husbands. I do You Lose podcast with new co-host there, Fadios.
The most humble guy in the room.
Great show. Great show. Especially now.
Yeah. We were great, but now we're awesome.
Yeah.
And I have so many ideas again that I would love to do other shows for, but at its heart, for me, it's the Merry Gamers, and it's hard, but it's still it's great, and it's like a marriage. It's hard, but it's worthwhile.
I got to tell you, one of the things that I think we enjoy, and I think I can speak, granted, Videos haven't had a chance to hear yours and that, but I think I can probably speak for just about anybody in this room when I say this. We really try to come at things from a bit of a different angle.
You guys do.
And it's not, instead of just being okay, well, we're going to talk about Destiny. Well, we do talk about Destiny, but we'll talk about, we come up with, we're usually trying to come up with topics where we can look at, even if it's a topic a lot of people have talked about, we try to talk about it from a different angle. We borrow stuff from other shows. Press A to Listen did a great show about
borrow.
They did a whole desert island idea where they drafted games they would take with them on that, and Jay and Chris were like, well, that's a great idea, but why don't we do something a little bit different with it? And we came up with the backlog draft.
That's better.
Is that your perspective of doing things
better? It's like borrow.
Is that a conscious effort, or is that something that just kind of comes naturally, or is it a little bit of mix of both?
It started out, I think, just as kind of more a natural thing, but it has become a conscious effort.
Especially this past year, because, none of us are just rolling, and so we weren't able to...
I like the double finger,
Johnny Montana.
We weren't going to be able to, review everything day one and talk about it, and so we kind of settled on the theme of contentment for the year 2014, which we're carrying into next year. And so it's like, all right, well, if I'm gonna go talk about Black Flag that everybody played a year ago, I might want to think of a different way to come at it than just, I like Black Flag, it's pretty.
I'm still playing it a year later.
Yeah.
Even though it started it 9 months after.
It kind of went back and forth between conscious and spontaneous, because way back we would do topics, and like Lefty was saying before, how many topics are you going to go through before you start getting stale? You're reusing the same ones, so I think it kind of mashed this. Listen to other shows so you can take theirs, but yeah.
But that's why you find so many podcasts.
But I think also, and I think also part of it came from, we also, Jay, above the rest of us, listen to a lot of podcasts. And when you hear a lot of other people and you hear what they're doing, subconsciously you kind of sit there and say, okay, that was a great show, not knocking them or anything, but, you know, how could we come at that? Or how do I see what they said and respond to it, and how can I take that and adapt it to what we do and put it into our show and make it work for our listeners, or make it fresh for our listeners, as opposed to just rehashing that topic again.
The other thing too is we are, and it's interesting because we're not really what we're not a Christian site, but everybody who's involved in it are Christians.
Because
and
you too.
But whenever you pray on your podcast, not when you're like, hey, we'll pray for someone.
Right.
Okay, we'll see you next week. You're like, we'll pray for someone, and then 2 days, and then 2 seconds later, everybody's bowing their head on the podcast. Like, even though it's not a video show, everyone is like audibly bowing their heads and praying. Mm-hmm. So you can say what you want, but the main reason I keep you guys in the rotation is not only because of me, but because you guys pray on the show.
You know what I mean?
But Meef is sweet Meef. I mean, what? Come on, man. You know
what I was gonna say is that we will bring some of that in with us, and actually one of the most commented shows we've done. We did a show on gaming with convictions, and it wasn't just about, you know, okay, well, we're Christians with certain convictions. We did it all across the board. And we got more comments on that because it's not a topic that a lot of podcasts are touching.
Right. That a lot of people deal with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not in any way trying to say, oh, hey, we're so much better because we do something different. Everybody in here brings something different to the table.
Amen.
And that's, you know, we've all heard the podcasts that sound exactly alike. And it's so great to be sitting among a group of people, but I can honestly say, you know, we all do it our own way, and we all bring something different to the table.
Well,
let it go.
There's one other answer to the original question about why we keep doing it, what drives us. Because I left talking about gamers, and I kind of just became the perennial co-host, and I kept hopping on shows here and there, and harassing Angry Mailman and whatever else. And the thing is,
have you love made up yet?
Yeah, well, you know, we haven't had dinner.
You can hear her on Yulu's podcast.
Yeah. But I've known Blue for about 6 years. First time I met him was today. And if I wasn't podcasting, I wouldn't be talking to Blue. So there's that other element where you start developing real relationships with people online, and you know, like I said, first time I met him, but you know, Blue's my boy.
That's my dog.
6 years, you know, we've been friends. We have multiple conversations, and it's like if I stop podcasting, I lose friends. So now there's like this whole other aspect to it, and as I see the communities grow, because I honestly think, at least in our sliver of the podcast world, when Talking About Gamers came out, it proved that anybody can podcast. You can take that however you want. A lot of podcasts spawned off of that, because that was a community-based podcast. It was about, you know, bringing guys out of the community, which is what we were all in the forums arguing and proving why Blue's wrong, even though he thinks he's right.
Hey, I got a shirt that I'm gonna wear on Saturday.
Okay.
And it says, "I never argue. I just explain why I'm right." And that is my
what was your old? You had another
so how long did your wife let you borrow that for?
She gave it to me last week right after you sent it to her. All right, so listen. What were you gonna say?
Well, you had an old tag that was a little bit different. What was it on the forum?
Oh, my forum tag was opinionated. Opinionated. I may be
uninformed.
I am not.
Yeah.
So you may not disagree with my opinions, but they're always based on some type of fact. And so that's the way I've always looked at it. Like, and so that's the different variants that I like to see. Like, that's what Prove Your Point is about. You come on, we can talk whatever about you want. We're gonna have a good time. But if you make an assertion or a statement, you better back it up. I'm gonna call you on it. So, go ahead.
Just make sure Ace isn't the judge, because Blue always wins when they.
Star figure, I ain't never winning nothing, man.
But on that same point, like I said, the community, we keep the quiet, and then so many shows, you know, Geeks for the Win came out of that. But there was a lot of Forum Radio spawned out of that, and then of course they had multiple spawns out of Forum Radio. A lot of that has kind of moved into Open Forum Radio now. There's so many things spawned out of there.
at PAX East, I was under the impression, didn't Open Forum Radio start because of a football dispute?
No.
Okay.
No.
To be blatantly honest, Open Forum Radio started because I was asked to leave talking about gamers. That's why I started.
Say no more. Moving on.
Yes,
I have a question. Like in terms of like you two, like you've never met each other, but you guys know each other for 6 years. If it wasn't for podcasting, what would be the other forms of communication that you guys would have? Right?
Sexting.
Okay.
That's the only form. Is that the best form of communication?
Yeah, so that's eternal.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. So like, what would be another avenue for you to communicate or like get together or share ideas?
Well, I mean, with the rise of social networks now, of course we have that. Because Fedios is the best meme creator I've ever seen in my life. But understand that if we didn't podcast, I never would have known him, like in the slightest. I never would have met the guy.
You do still come across people like Indio Techno and for Gaming on Twitter that they're not part of podcasts. Josiah's not part of
But they're
podcast.
once again tying into a lot of these people because of podcasts.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to reinforce is that like this one venue is connecting people from obviously across the world, right?
Oh yeah.
Like it's more than, let's say, social media. It's a more like you guys interacting on Twitter, maybe not the best way, but connecting on podcasting, there is some internal like deepness, I guess is the way to put it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you're connecting on a different way.
Definitely.
I don't think anybody in this room would be in this room if it weren't.
Yeah.
But for this one thing.
Exactly.
Yes,
I
okay.
would because it's my room.
Besides
Well, I mean, it's we were talking about it. This is the first time in the Everyday Gamer crew we've all been together. It's the first time we've gotten to meet each other face to face.
Almost a similar amount
Yeah,
of years.
and it really what it's come down to is like, okay, so it's the first time we've met face to face, but Jay and Chris are two of my best friends. I'll hit them up on. I'm going through a rough time. I'll hit them up on email before I'll hit up people in my own church that I see all the time.
And how many times have you guys like helped each other out and gifted each other things when you could because the other person didn't want, or you just wanted to surprise them? I mean, it's stuff like that. I've known Will for, like I said, for almost the same length of time because he's been with Open Forum Radio. This is our first time meeting, and so yeah, you know, right. The medium of podcasting, not necessarily the medium, but the pastime of podcasting, is more than just producing a product. It's forging relationships and spending time with not only your co-hosts, but your listeners in the community. And if people are out there podcasting and they don't know that, then drop the mic and turn it off. Seriously, like, don't do it anymore because you're missing the point. Because podcasting is more, and I'm sorry.
Preach it.
I don't mean to
Preach it.
But listen though, but this goes back to my marketing schooling. Like podcasting is a very unique medium because podcasting is an opt-in medium and it is an isolatory or an isolation-based medium because you go in and you subscribe to a show, you opt in, you isolate it. The only thing you're hearing at that time is that show. Okay, so there's no diversion of attention, there's nothing else. So A, you want it, and A, you're diverting all your attention to it. So because of that, people are more highly engaged in that than any other thing. That's why I can sit down and talk to Terrence, aka Rostakiller718 on Twitter, who has been following me for 4 or 5 years, who I never met, but he can sit down and I know I can open my hotel room to a guy who's 6'2", 230, bigger than me, but he's gonna sit down and we feel like we're friends because he knows me and I know him. This is the only medium in which you can cultivate that type of relationship without ever having to physically meet someone. Yeah. And as I said, if you're doing this and you don't understand that, you're doing it wrong. Yeah. Period.
And a lot of our shows, pretty much everybody in here, you know, we get on there and like 40cast, for example, you know, you listen to the 40cast and it's like you're there. And Fedios and I were talking before we came up here, you know, you kind of develop like you're one of the guys.
You're sitting in the room listening to the conversation.
You feel like you know those guys, and so when you finally all get together, it's just like, you know, hey man, how's the kids, how's the twins, etc. So
Well, I've said it a couple times where just the nature of doing this, I mean, if you're doing a weekly show, you're talking to each other on a weekly basis. And I've said a couple times that I talk to these guys more than I talk to some of my family members. Not because there's anything wrong in the family, not because there's any feuds or anybody not talking to anybody, but just the nature of doing this and the nature of busy schedules in life. And, you know, you go one of two paths. Either you forge these friendships and you forge that closeness with the people that you're doing it with, or it doesn't work that way and you guys break apart. Obviously for us, we did. And like they said before, there are times I'll give them a call or a text before I may call some of my family members if something's going on, and vice versa. You know, you pick up on each other's emotions and what's going on. I know exactly when I need to reach out to one of them because of a tone in a tweet that you would never pick up on if you didn't know these people or didn't have that relationship, and they do the same for you.
Side note first, 40cast. Love the 40cast. Sometimes they talk about stuff that I think crosses the bar.
Just a wee bit.
Well,
But
you know,
The bar's a little higher than others.
but they have such divergent viewpoints that I can't help but love listening to that show, because I'm getting not just one voice and one belief about a certain subject.
Right.
Now, back onto podcasting. Most of us, maybe all of us, don't make money off the venture.
Right.
And yet we've devoted years of our lives to this. And we are still passionate about it, even though it's not making us money.
It's costing us money.
It's costing us money.
And I think
it's costing us money, but the rewards are something you can't put a price tag on.
Cost-benefit analysis is actually much easier because, like I said, I'd much rather know Fadios than actually make money off of this thing.
Well, and it kind of opens up the opportunity for us to say, man, go check out the latest episode of Prove Your Point, you know, or My Peanut Gallery. They talked about, you know, some things about Ferguson I never would have even dreamed of discussing on Everyday Gamers. Or go listen to Press A to Listen. They had a hilarious segment on whatever. And we may have a listener, but we may have a listener that, you know, goes and listens to the Married Gamers and they're like, this is my jam, and I only have an hour, so I'm going to listen to Married Gamers. And we might lose a listener because of that in the long run, but the relationships we build and the reciprocation we get from that, from other people saying, oh, Everyday Gamers had a great episode this week. You know, we've seen it time and time again of people saying, man, I heard y'all mentioned on the 40cast or wherever, and then we
I
get
like
to
the
listen
short
to
shows,
that.
you guys.
Hey, they did a really short show.
It was a short show. Mission accomplished.
There you go. That means you must not
Drive
talk much.
time, baby.
But
So you brought up an interesting point a little while ago, and it seems we're going long in this. If anybody
About the 40
needs to
cast,
pull out, well, no. You talked about other shows that you like to do, or you would like to, or like with You Lose, you've actually gotten started. And I'd be interested in knowing how many of us in here are involved in multiple shows because, and maybe what some of those multiple shows are, because they have something different from what we do with our normal, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go ahead and start it out. Yeah, okay, we have the Everyday Gamers main cast. I have two other shows. One of them's very marginal and doesn't come in as much as I'd like, and I admit it. I know Jay is telling me I've got to get another one going. But I have Push Play, which is all about game soundtracks. And then I have one that I do with Travis Patterson on our site called Queued Up, where we get the chance to just give recommendations of things that we're watching on Netflix, websites we've run across we think are really interesting, books we're reading, games we're playing. And then we usually do a top 5, and that becomes a very interesting discussion sometimes. Sometimes. Go back to the Wrath of Khan episode. And then, on top of that, I've really gotten into wrestling recently, especially with the launch of the WWE Network. And so does Josh Brown. We've mentioned a little bit of time here. Josh the Noise Brown, those you know from Platform Junkies, is also a major wrestling fan. And the two of us were driving our podcast crazy because we were the only two who really got into wrestling. So we'd be talking about it and everybody would be like, okay, move on now. So it's like, okay, you like wrestling, I like wrestling, let's get together and start talking wrestling. Jobbers on the Mic was born. And we've just been having a lot of fun with that. The last one that we put out was all on, we gave our Jobbers on the Mic awards. We called them the Bronze Mics. And that. And so just to take other things that we're passionate about, get together with other people who are passionate about them and just get a chance to talk about them.
of course, to answer the question, yes. That's the general reason Prove Your Point was born. To have intellectual discussion. Like we can talk things, but to actually drill down on a topic and to have a debate but not only just to have a debate, but to have someone be declared a winner and a loser, depending on the strength of the debate. Like, that's kind of what it's about. Yeah, like that's what it's about.
There's only two outcomes. Blue wins, the other guy loses, or the other guy wins and blue contests.
Yeah. Exactly. I never argue. I just explain why I'm right.
So you might even have a second podcast to try to prove you're right again.
Rocky always wins the second match.
Yeah, he always wins the rematch, baby. Always. Yo, Adrian.
Steve and I are part of the Gamers Unscripted podcast, and that kind of spawned out of our enjoyment of doing like podcast mashups. Like we do a Everyday Gamers Open Forum Radio OFR cast mashup, or 40cast or whoever. It's like, man, this is a lot of fun, and everyone always seems to love when everybody gets together. So Zion Tane from the OMG Hour, Steve from Press Play to Listen, me from Everyday Gamers, and Mike from Gamers in Beta were like, I could get together twice a month and do that. And so we did, and it was just kind of, as the name suggests, kind of an unscripted, like, man, let's just talk about whatever comes up. And we usually try to get somebody from another podcast on with us, which has been really cool because we've had Elaine from some other castle and people
hilarious at any given point.
Yeah, I'm so jealous of both of them because there's certain folks, and like a local guy I know, Mike Say, and like those ladies that are just instantly funny, off the cuff, don't even think about it, and they're just fully all over with laughter. And I'm so insanely jealous that they can do that.
Yeah.
That's special talent.
It really is.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. But I mean, that's what we do, and we've gotten some positive feedback from those shows because it's different than your typical Everyday Gamers, your typical Press Play to Listen. It's really off the cuff.
Like when I was doing Geeks with Color podcast, me and Q, my co-host, we wouldn't have much to talk about, so we just started talking about wrestling, and it pissed people off. Carpenter would just like fast forward it, and it just got to the point where my friend Classic Materia, he used to have something called the Razzlecast, where he would like live, just like talk about like a show that's going on live or something like that. So then that died, and I asked him if I could resurrect that. And that's what we're doing now. I'm doing the Razzlecast with my friend Don and Greg. So so that kind of spawned out of pissing people off on one.
I understand completely. Sounds like we might need to do a Wrestlecast Jobbers on the Mic match at some point.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. I guess everybody went around the room and answered that.
Well, Chris, I mean, you've been launching
with
the...
I'm a little selfish because I started Married Gamers because I really wanted to save my marriage. Okay, well, that's selfish and altruistic. You Lose podcast was selfish because I really needed to lose weight and and get healthy, and and I'm incredibly lucky to have great podcast hosts for that. Anthony Alex, he needs to do his time is so limited, but man, what a talent.
You were talking about another one of those guys that's just instantly funny, exactly. Anthony Alex.
He's got a gift.
Yeah, and he finds the point in any subject and stuff like that, and doesn't waste time about it, and I like that. Then I sort of got my way, with getting into the Gamer Husbands. They sort of started because of us, and I've liked them for a long time, and been lucky enough to be in this third incarnation of what Gamer Husbands is. That show really evolved and stuff.
Well, and talk about diversity with that one too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Dragon
and your and Kevin and Sam's viewpoints, they're quite
different.
Yeah,
and it really brings out different facets of myself. Like with the Married Gamers, that's a fun show to do, and over the years we've gotten more comfortable. Much to the we've lost a lot of hardcore Christian gamers as we became more and more ourselves, and not and a lot of them are very they were very rigid in what is a good Christian podcast and what's not, and we were just being ourselves more and more over time, and honestly, that made me love the show even better. But I was going to mention something about You Lose podcast.
Fadius is on it now.
Yeah, Fadius is on it now. But
big upgrade.
Different facets. But with You Lose podcast is probably the most honest thing that I've ever done. You know, because I'm talking about, you know, I'm. It's really hard to talk about your weight on the internet.
Yeah.
Where everyone can listen to you and talk about your struggles, because fat shaming is like the only, like, it's not racist, but it's very, it's very hurtful.
Yeah, it's mean.
And it affects everything in our lives, because we're viewed, you know, a fat person is often viewed as lazy.
And let's face it too, it's also almost an accepted, socially acceptable form of bullying.
True. And so all four of us hosts are really putting ourselves out there. You know, and every week we do a weigh-in stuff. So it's really like no holds barred, honest, very like tightrope stuff. It can really come back and hurt us with comments and you know, it's real easy to find out people's information. But we do it because honestly, us four, you know, Fadis can attest to this, we need it. You know? So there's that, and then there's some fun side. You know, gamer husbands, I play up the Xbox love. You know, I
basically gotta match Kevin's
PS5.
You have to. You have to.
So I downloaded to 11, but I love Kevin. You know, he's a Fresno local and stuff, and so we get together every now and then. And yeah, we don't agree on a lot of stuff, and he may think I love Microsoft too much, and I may think that he's never forgiven Microsoft for releasing a crappy product and exploding so many Xbox 360s. But that's just a fun show to do, because you know, divergent viewpoints, and it's, you know, great people, and it's even in this so many years, it's getting better and better, because we're learning how to shorten the show a little bit and how to interact with one another better, and so it's just fun. And I'll probably do some more because I'm unemployed, so I have all this time. So, but yeah, so.
I just want to say real quick on the You Lose podcast, because you talk about how, I mean, it's very exposed, but that's what instantly drew me into that show, because I'm like, oh, check this out, I'm fat, I'll listen to what some fat gamers are going to talk about, you know, and like I told you, on the show even, I was just instantly was convicted, like, this is real, this needs to happen, and I absolutely fell in love with the show. And then when you stopped doing it, as I mentioned to you, I pretty much bombarded you with messages about either getting it going or getting me on there to get it going, right? But you know, and I've you know, my weight. Jeremy doesn't know my weight. I mean, he knows I'm fat, but you know, he's a good buddy of mine. I don't tell anybody my weight until, you know, I was on the show, because I know it's an important part of that process. And part of it too is saying, yeah, I'm really fat and I really need to lose weight, and here's the number. And when people hear that number, they're like, yeah, that's a problem. You know, they get it. And like, because I can, you can be like, oh yeah, I just, you know, need to lose a few. No, I need to lose a few
person.
Yeah,
y'all said that on the show.
I lose a full grown man who's gonna be heavier than I should be when I'm done. So yeah, yeah, when you have to lose half your body, you have a problem. But yeah, it's very, very exposed. But I mean, that's, like I said, as a listener, it drew me in right away, especially as a fat guy, which, you know, there's a lot of fat guys in gaming, as we'll see tomorrow at PAX. Just walking around, I'm like, oh, you guys are here for the convention? Or yeah.
Smell you later.
Hey,
I've got no room to talk. So.
I'm just saying, I love our listeners, man. But if you in PAX and your right guard done went left, we gonna have a problem. Seriously, man, please.
Is that a Lefty Brown joke?
I'm more worried about catching the nerd flu.
The dirt flu. The dirt flu. Yeah, that's what it's.
Xbox, yeah, that's right here.
I think the booth babe should now come with right guard and spray you. Spray you as you come
Should
up.
be like a car wash.
She'd be like,
Yeah, like if you walk in, like you spray the mist.
it's the cooling mist. Yeah. But no. Look, Chris, you got any more questions? We can wrap this up. Cause I got an early morning.
Yeah, we got 80 hour, 9 o'clock.
We got a long hike back to the hotel.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Uber.
Yeah.
I got one more thing right before everybody leaves that we're gonna shoot right out there, right before you get in the elevator.
Oh, okay.
Individually. So
For sure.
Cool.
kind of
For
will
sure.
capture everything that everyone talked about.
Yeah.
But kind of put some form to it.
Short word on Kobe. He's a journalism student.
I can tell.
Nice.
So the
Digital media.
So the reason why I was asking this question is because like evoking like the more like human element out of it, because like everyone here is really passionate about podcasting. I listen to a shit ton of podcasts, so it's like it's really awesome to hear the creators like talk about why they do it and like more of a process, right? Because like you can say like, oh, it's just a bunch of friends talking. It's like, no, it's a little bit more involved than that, right?
Deeper
like
than
a lot more effort, a lot more time goes into
And
it.
often better than the big guys.
No, yeah, I totally
Everyday
agree.
Gamers is better than IGN.
Appreciate
We
it.
wouldn't give that to you.
Thank you.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Box.
Appreciate it. I'm putting that over here.
Or what's that podcast that do 3 hours? 3 hours podcast. That's an hour longer than you guys, and they go off the topic and get into boringness. Not Bombcast, someone else.
I listen to podcasts.
I listen to Bombcast too.
Yeah, and I think part of that too with us is just because I listened to some different ones growing up. I used to listen to Retronauts. Or not growing up, but I used to listen to Retronauts.
Definitely.
Back when I was back in my day.
One up yours. And they always did kind of different angles on things.
Yeah.
So that influenced a lot of where I came
GFW,
from
same
on it.
thing. Like back in the early thousands, like that was the pioneer. Yeah, man, it goes back. You know, it's like one of those things. It's like that's why I listen to podcasts. It's like hearing personalities talk about games slightly, but just like those different angles that are just more than just Kotaku or joystick articles.
And we're still young in the infancy of podcasting. We're talking, what, 5, 6 years?
Exactly.
Well, since 2005.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
So about
yeah.
going on 10 years now, and it hasn't even, like, there's only.
It's starting to evolve. I'm
Yeah.
seeing, you know, including Mary Gamers, we're starting to do more YouTube live stuff, and you know, we're starting to come out from behind just the audio curtain and starting to do more
And social
video
acceptance,
and
right?
yeah, exactly.
Like it's more of like, oh, listen to podcasts. It's not some weird dingy thing you do in your basement, right? It's like
Thanks, Siri.
In your mom's
yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks cereal, thanks
Yeah,
Tommy
cereal's
Bang Bang.
huge.
Like yeah, it helps
And
out.
that's what you need. You need that one breakout, podcast, and everyone's, and now everyone's like, oh, what are podcasts?
Well, I mean, even further back, This American Life.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to get serious,
Right.
when This American Life started coming out, and you start listening to what's his name, Robert Ashley, man, like
His Life Well Wasted.
Yeah, well, Life Well Wait. Oh man, the production values in that was you could have put that on TV and not missed a beat. B, the content in there was extremely deeper than really most discussions for the news. And anchors trying to have a discussion about certain topics. He went deeper than that. So the idea, I guess, the parental concepts of what a podcast is about have been around and been embedded within our culture for a while. Just now it's starting to become more realized, and for shows, Adam Carolla and things like that. Like their shows are going to start monetizing things, and unfortunately, nothing gets traction until it makes green, right? So when it starts making green, it'll get more traction. But until then, like I said, I'm just going to continue proving my point. That's
you guys don't
what's
get
about.
paid?
Nah. But yeah. Is that about it? All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 1 of PAX South 2015.
More Lone Star next tomorrow night, huh?
Yeah. So I guess on behalf, you say Loot Crate?
Yeah, Daily Crate.
Daily Crate. They have Daily Crate, Press A to Listen, Everyday Gamers, My Peanut Gallery, Geeks for the Win. What's the WrestleCast?
WrestleCast.
The Merry Gamers and Proof Your Point, No Perform Radio. Look, this Larry aka Blue Man Rule. We'll be back in your ear again tomorrow evening, and we're gonna make it saucy. Deuces. That's it.
I like crunchy.
Sweet.
That's my Midwest South thing. Like I'm gonna take that back. California's that's gonna be a thing, man. I'm telling you.
So you said